Welcome everyone back to the channel. Well, it's been about a year, so let's do a 1 year review on the Robot Lawn Mower. And got a few jobs to do around it as well, some maintenance work along with moving the antenna. So I've determined that the antenna is actually in the wrong place. It just doesn't get enough clear sky around our property that you know, the robot and the antenna can actually connect to 4 satellites of the same service at the same time. So we're going to move the antenna and build a little house, do a bit of maintenance on it, and discuss the good and the bad of the having a robot lawnmower. So let's get stuck in. I was discussing the robot with a friend of mine the other day, and they suggested I should really have a name. We only call it Robot Lawn Mower, which is pretty boring. What do you think, Robot? Do you need a name? Maybe you guys can suggest a name for the robot. Put a comment with what you think we should call the robot. So the main reason we're going to move the antenna is because it doesn't have a full 180 degree view of the sky. It does have the 135 degree that is recommended, but really it blocks the northeast side of the house. And for the robot and the base station, they need 4 satellites of the same type at the same time to keep communicating and be in the right place. And I find that I quite often get notifications say it's out of bounds or not a good enough quality of signal to the base station to actually communicate and know where it is. Plus, as well as all that, the robot is actually parked on our footpath around the house, and that's not great either. So what we're going to do is move it over to the shed here, the little utility shed, and we're going to put it on a pole up here. It actually comes with a pole, so we're going to mount that on the side, and that should give us quite a bit more view of the sky when it's up on the pole. The reason why I didn't do this in the first time is because we didn't have power in the shed, but we do have power in here now. I ran that when we redid the water pump. So the plan is to put it there, and I've built a little shed, and we'll put a little shed here, and the robot will sit in this area, leaving this clear area here clear to still drive through with the ride on and stuff like that. So that's the plan. So while we do that, I'll talk about all sorts of the good and the bad, and we need to do a bit of maintenance on the robot as well. First thing I want to talk about is the cutting and the lawn itself. Now, we are in the middle of summer and it is a bit drought, and our grass is called fine fescue, and it doesn't really like the dry heat, but it all comes back once it rains again, so it doesn't actually die off, it just browns off. And I do like it, does cut the lawn very well. We have it set to about 45mm, makes very good lines, and I did have it set high at about 65, but what I'd find with the fine fescue is that it would push the lawn over, so you'd have a lot of lawn pushed over and it wouldn't be cutting, and then the grass would sort of grow sideways. So I had to cut the height a little bit. You probably wouldn't get that with a different type of grass. It's just the type of grass fine fescue is. It's easy to push over and not cut so much, and you don't get the sucking or the value of a normal lawnmower where it's spinning and creates a vacuum and sucks the grass up. So but other than that, it does a really good job of cutting the lawn and staying in the area that you are. It's not a problem at all. So very happy with the basically the actual cutting of the lawn. It does a very good job, lots of time saving there. One thing I would say is when it's driving through different areas, you can sort of see here there's actually a pattern. It's driven back from cutting around the corner. It just drives straight over your nice pattern lawn, which is, you know, you'd think they could make it drive around the edge or something like that. But anyway, just a minor little hiccup there. But other than that, it does a really good job of cutting grass. So I'm going to do a little bit of maintenance on the robotic lawnmower today, and that's change the blades. So I've just pulled the safety mechanism out. It is turned off, but you're meant to also pull that safety mechanism out, so it can't do anything with that not in there. And I've got this on But there we go, you can see that it was mowing the lawns yesterday afternoon and it was raining a bit. It's not meant to do it in the rain, but you can see wet grass does, I've noticed wet grass does clump up in it. And so if it's mowing when it's wet, or if the grass is damp, then it does clog up a bit, and you really do need to get in here and clean it out. It's not too bad at the moment, and a lot of this might, it's actually still wet at the moment. A lot of this would probably dry off and fall off anyway. Here are the blades here, so this little razor blade type things, and you obviously can flip these over and then flip them the other way as well. So you can get 4 times out of these things. You probably can sharpen them too, but and so you're meant to turn these over every 6 months. So basically these will last 2 years, and they give a spare set as well. So you've got 4 years of blades. This is one thing that it's not quite good. Sometimes the blades are meant to swing. Oh, that one's turning, but it's obviously got a bit of dirt on it, under it. But they quite often, I've found that the blades actually get stuck in like this, so they hit something and then they push in and don't come out. That's stuck as well, that one. Which means your cutting is not very good. So in fact, this one's got 2 blades stuck. So you need to watch that. You basically need to probably every month or so turn it over and check the blades, make sure that they're either free or sticking out. I don't mind if they're stuck out. But obviously it hits something, then they push it in. So technically they should be free like this. They swing out and swing in if they hit something and that. But anyway, it is what it is. So I think that's something they could improve. Maybe they have already. This is not the latest model, so yeah. So let's change the blades over. I think I need to swap them. I think I've already turned this over that way, and so now it's flipping this way. I think basically if you see your cutting performance drop, you know, even though I've got 2 blades down, I haven't actually really noticed that the cutting of the grass has actually dropped. Mind you, it is summer and we are in a bit of a drought, so the grass isn't really growing that much at the moment, so I probably haven't noticed. If it was probably growing a lot every day, I'd probably see a mispatch, that's all. But so you probably just need to watch out for that. That's done. While we've got it here and upside down, going to give it a wash. Now, one thing, most important thing when you do wash these is you do not take the bumper off. So the bumper sits in the seals, and so you basically say you should not take the bumper off when you're washing it. You can take it off afterwards and muck around, but if you get water into here, then it causes sensor problems. So leaving the bumper on, making sure that we still have the safety plug out, and we'll take it outside and give it a wash next to the fence. So that's a bit of maintenance done for the robot lawnmower. Right, so while you get to watch me move the antenna and the base station, let's talk about the good and the bad of the robot lawnmower and some of that versus the ride-on. So let's talk about the first good thing, and that's time. The robot lawnmower is actually giving me more time to do other things. It generally takes me about at least 2 hours a week when the grass is growing long to actually mow my lawns with the ride-on. All I'm doing is sitting on my bum driving around, so it's not actually good for me in respect of any exercise, not like pushing a lawnmower. So in that respect, I think it is a real time saver if you're looking to get a bit more time in your life. And let's face it, Yeah, time is limited, and this is definitely a time saver, so a big tick for that one. This one's just a little bit of a setup technique. In respect to my fences, you really need to come in about 100 mil, so you make sure it doesn't hit each individual post as it's driving along. The newer model of this has actually got a visual sensor up the top, and it's probably a lot better at avoiding obstacles. But this one I've noticed when I went quite accurate along the fence line, it basically hit every post and it jumps out and then turns around and does all sorts of things. So in my case, I just moved the boundary in a little bit from the fence line. So here's the app, and it's pretty much all the power of the whole thing. And once it's set up, it's really, you forget about it. You don't really need to go back again. Now I'll just give you a few tips of what I've done to make mowing my lawn a little bit better. What I've done is split my lawn up from one big lawn into 9 areas. And the reason for this mainly is because to speed the mowing process up. This is area 3, and as you can see with the zigzag, it actually is quite slow doing the dogleg down the bottom here because it's going backwards and forwards across a very small part. I could actually speed this up by doing this in 2 parts, because the corner piece, or the dogleg down the bottom, you could do as a separate part. It would draw straight lines up and down that instead of the backwards and forwards. Areas 5 and 6 you see here, I tried to do these of one big area, but with the garden between them, that caused a real issue, as I wanted to do nice big straight lines of area 5, but then that would mean little backwards and forwards going down this area of area number 6 instead of straight up and down this one. So the easy way to get around that is to just break it up into 2 parts. Area 7 across the top, I did that as a special area as well, mainly so I can turn off all the sensors so it can mow under these bushes. But I didn't want to do that for the rest of the lawn. In respect of mowing my lawn, I have 6 tasks, Monday to Saturday, and the lawn gets mowed twice a week. The areas 1, 2, and 3 mowed on Mondays and Thursdays, areas 5 and 9 on Tuesdays and Fridays, and areas 4, 6, 7, and 8 get mowed on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And the reason why I mow the lawn twice a week is because I was finding that if I had something mowed on a Monday and it rained, the rain sensor would stop it mowing, and then it would happen again next Monday, then it wouldn't get mowed next Monday either. And so you'd sometimes have the lawn not mowed for a couple of weeks and it'll get quite long. So by mowing twice a week, I do seem to catch the lawn getting mowed at least once every 2 weeks sometimes, especially in spring, which is the worst times for us. So use tasks to set up your schedule to mow your lawn during the week. It's pretty straightforward, really. You select the areas you want to do, and then you can select now or the weekly and the day, and then the time, and then you have things like cutting height, task speed, cutting mode, which is your adapted chessboard, zigzag, and perimeter only. You've got your pass spacing, the spacing between each row. I'll select default, and then further down you've got obstacle detection, and this is quite important if you are got bushes and stuff like that. There's 3 types of types there. And then you have perimeter laps, how many perimeter laps you want to do, and I've got mine set to 3, and then also no-go. So you have no-go zones, and you how many laps around those before it starts doing either the zigzag. And then you've got whether you want to do the perimeter first or last. So all in all, that worked pretty well. Really, there's only one thing that I'd quite like it to do, but it doesn't allow you to do, and that is overlap your zones. Because they have so many tasks and they are on the same piece of lawn, you get a gap between each area. And what I've been finding is sometimes you'd get a missed piece of grass through the middle of the area, which is a little disappointing. I'd quite like to overlap my areas, but the app doesn't allow you to do that. So one of the main reasons for moving the antenna is I was getting notifications to say poor reception or couldn't pick up the same satellites. Basically, between the base station and the robot, it needs to pick up 4 satellites of the same type. So there is 4 different types of GPS satellites it's using. but it must be the same for that you're using or for both, and it wasn't doing that sometimes, and I'd get errors from that. So this whole point of moving the antenna is to try and source that problem. So you can definitely see the difference here in height. It's actually just about the same height as the garage part of the roof of the house, and it will just get so much more satellites being this high compared to being way over there right down low. So I'm sure this is going to make a huge difference to the accelerate retrieval of the robot lawnmower. Here's the last little bit of the project. I just need to bring the power cable across to the base station for the charger. And I'm going to bury it in this PVC pipe. At some point I will cobble the area that this all sits on, but at the moment I'm just going to lay it on the grass, and you can see just in the foreground there the little hut that I've built for it, so I have a little bit of shelter as well instead of being open out into the weather. They do actually sell a little piece of plastic that can go across over top of the charging station, but I think a little piece of ply and stuff that I've built up is perfectly fine. One thing I do more often now is do my edges of my lawn, especially where the fine fescue isn't as good and I have more weeds in my lawn. You can see here I've got a lot more weeds and they overgrow the edges. Where the fine fescue is mostly fine fescue, it's not too bad, but of course it always looks better when it has been trimmed up with the line trimmer. So just one little thing to note, you might be doing more edging than you previously had, but still quite a small part of the job. Only do that every couple of months compared to actually mowing the lawns once a week on the ride-on and not having to do that at all. The last thing left is to actually remap the lawn. So if you move the GPS antenna, you do have to remap all your lawn. Um, Not if you move your base station. Your charging station, if you move that, they allow you to do that and you can relocate that, but you can't actually move the GPS antenna without actually remapping. So here I am remapping the lawn, which is basically walk around and steering it as you go. But all in for my review, 1 year review of the robot lawnmower, I'm very, very happy. It has saved a huge amount of time in my life not to have to mow the lawns. And so I'm extremely happy and it's a great purchase. It should save my ride-on for another 5 years. And I've had a lot of work on my ride-on to keep it going, and now it doesn't need to mow the lawns. It doesn't get used hardly any, so it should make it last a lot longer. The cost of the robot is quite a lot less than actually buying new ride-on as well, so it's actually a cheaper option for a lot of people if they have to buy a ride-on lawnmower. Anyway, so that's pretty much this video over. Thanks everyone for watching. I much appreciate it. If you would like to name the robot, please put something down in the comments, and hopefully we might get a name for it. And catch everyone next time. Thanks for watching.